Welcome to Real ISA Talk with Mark and Jason. Thank you so much for listening. You're going to learn a lot. We're going to learn a lot from you. And you can reach us at Real ISA Talk on Facebook.
Thank you for listening, folks. Today, then, welcome to Real ISA Talk. This is our first episode that we're doing. And what we're doing here is both of us have just over the years have seen all the fake coaching, motivation series programs that I'm sure any veteran salesman out there is just kind of seen and just want to hold your nose at. And we're going to cut through all that BS, aren't we, Mark?
Absolutely. I'm so sick of going on Facebook and every third or fourth post is a sponsored ad saying, buy my leads and you'll get rich.
Oh, yeah.
Or my system is the best and I guarantee it or your money back.
Yeah, and what a game, man. I mean, here I got a bunch of leads of people who are not qualified and, but here, call them anyway. Because I remember, and here's a little thing for our people, our first little bit of history. Mark and I worked together for a period of time.
Keller Williams.
Yeah, the leads, Mark. You remember just kind of how bad the leads were, dude.
So the CRM programs that we were using promised us a 3% upwards to 5% conversion. And being an inside sales agent where I call prospects to find out their real estate needs,
right?
These people didn't have any needs. I was just annoying them. And
right.
Another thing is the lack of leads. It's one of those things, the more you pay, the more you're going to get. But even though you're getting a lot more, they might be a bunch of BS, so you're paying for trash leads.
Oh, yeah. You're wasting all your time sitting there calling people who are absolutely... I mean, and you and I, you're a really great salesman. You're a much better salesman than I am. And I'll tell people that right now, of Mark and Jason of this podcast. Mark is the man.
You're too kind.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've heard, man. I saw you in action. You were amazing. So what we're trying to do is, and what you're going to find out over the next few shows, and as we grow this program and more people start listening and we start learning, is we're going to pass on information and skills that we've learned over the years, and what you're going to find out is sales is really simple. It's very, very simple. I mean, and we're going to cover this in more depth. I mean, Mark, there's just basically 5 basic objections.
My wife, I don't trust you.
Right.
Clearly not interested.
Exactly.
Do not call us.
Yeah, do not call us immediately.
Yeah, and then what's our final one there? Oh, credit card declines, because they give you the fake ones.
Fake credit card decline.
Those bastards.
Right, or they're not interested, just plain and simple no, especially because I've never really told you about my door-to-door experiences when I was a kid. I went on this sales company that traveled from like city to city selling this cleaner. It's called Hypo cleaner.
I've seen some of these ads.
Oh yeah, I'd walk up and knock on people's door and what I would
start cleaning shit.
Yeah,
look how good it works.
Exactly. I'd start with a brass kicker you'd see on the front door.
First one's free.
Yeah, I'd do a little spot there that was like right in the middle that everybody could see as you walked up there, and so they had no choice.
The doorknob's gonna sparkle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or they'd have a big oil stain in the driveway, and so you'd go clean right down the middle of that, and you'd find out if the wife, especially if she hated that. And you tell them, look, you're the only driveway in this wonderful neighborhood with an oil stain in your driveway. You want me to? I've got something here that'll clean that for you. At the low cost of $35.95.
Your neighbors are never going to have to look at your house in shame again.
Exactly. And you play kind of on their fear and weakness. So those are the things that we're gonna.
I'm sure you would complain about your other's neighbor's driveway too, right?
Yes, I'm already agreeing to it.
You got to find that common ground.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know you'd tell me if you didn't want to buy it.
Right. Exactly.
So sign here.
Oh, I'm already signing. Mark, how much do I owe you?
Well,
so Mark, since you're the man here, tell me, and I'll get to my background as well. Let's start with Mark. Tell me how'd you get into sales and how long you been doing it?
Okay, so quick story. Keep it real quick and simple.
And if anybody out there, if you've got a drink, hey, right now I know how sales is, so everybody does.
I have a shot and a drink.
Yeah, everybody's got that.
And a cigar.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Mark.
Okay, so I'm 31 now. I have a fiance named Katie, been with 9 years. She cuts hair. She's fabulous. And I got a daughter and a son. Daughter's 3.5. Son is almost 8.
Right.
Wow. Elvis called it something else.
No,
No, I'm joking. All right, so I grew up playing a whole bunch of video games. My whole life was just video games, video games, video games. Had to be the best. I had this like screwed up mentality complex that I had to be the best at all the games I played with.
Right.
And I didn't work out in very many gaming clans because I was kind of a douche. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that's why we don't game online with you, Mark. Just so everybody out there knows.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm a lot better now.
Yeah.
Minus the douche part. Anyway.
Minus the douche. Right? Well, people, you will learn.
Yeah. So anyway, my mom got a disease that attacked her spine when I was 15, and it gave her very similar stroke-like symptoms.
Oh, no.
She couldn't work, and my dad died when I was just turning 19. While I was in high school, there was a telemarketing center around the corner of my high school that I went to called Kickapoo. And I would walk across the street to this high school, I'd walk across the street to this call center. It was called Grand Crown. We would sell timeshare packages, 3-day, 2-night stays, or 4-day, 3-night stays over the phone to Branson.
Timeshare.
Yeah, we're going to give you 4 or 8 show tickets to the worst shows you've ever seen. We're also going to include a minimal 90-minute timeshare that could last up to 6 hours, depending on how much you want to complain, and a bullshit continental breakfast every morning for the low price of just $149.
$149? No way.
Yeah, and if your card declines, I could probably push it through at $79.
If your cards decline.
So I would cold call these people after school,
Okay.
and so I had to take care of my mom after my dad died. So after 3.5 years at multiple different timeshare Branson sales outbound jobs and a couple different inbound jobs, which I'll get into later, I sold technical support service and provided technical support service at Teletech / Hewlett Packard for just under 5 years.
Hey, hang on one second. Back up just a second. Do we want to tell the people out there what timeshare places you work for that might know Branson? Because there's going to be some people out here that are listening to this that know the Branson area and know which...
Grand Crown, Wyndham, Destination Adventures, America's Great Escapes, America's Best Escapes, Sunrise Communications. That was actually like 8 different phone projects.
Sunrise? Wow.
And then on top of that, Branson Travel Group.
Ooh, I remember Branson Travel Group.
I have worked at Expedia. I was an awesome salesman there. A lot of cool people there.
Right. Tell us about your Expedia experience. What was that like?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So to tell you that story, I have to briefly tell you about the Teletech.
And this is a call center, right? Like
yes.
Expedia
is in the way. Anyway, after 5 years almost at Teletech, I never got a raise. I was always at $12 an hour.
Really?
Yeah, they said they don't do raises, but they are a stepping stone on to better careers.
Really? That's...
So I had this interview at...
Not going to give you any money, but, hey, one of these days you'll be really great.
Yeah. So anyway, after 5 years, I moved on to Expedia, made a whole bunch of money, got obsessed with money, got into real estate, and here I am now. But I got to tell you, when I was at Teletech, the crowd and the people that you worked with were awesome.
Were they? Okay.
9 out of 10 people were super cool, and the rest were just crazy.
Wow. Well, Teletech's a big place, man. I mean, are they? How many people were in the call center at one time? I mean,
easily 800 minimally.
Really?
When the HP project first started out, it was like 200, then 300, then it jumps to 500, then 800,
Right.
then there's 1,000.
Right.
Then Expedia, there's well over 1,000.
Oh yeah.
Expedia, they have so many. Their call center is amazing. They have a great culture for their call center.
Right.
Sometimes you'll walk in and there's like free food for everybody from multiple different places, and like a live band playing. And then there's like non-alcoholic beer kegs next to your desk, and then you go out with your team and have a team builder after shift at Dublin's Irish Pass.
Oh yeah,
Oh my God.
I'm familiar with those team builder exercises. Now, tell me at Expedia, what were you selling at Expedia?
Hotel rooms.
Okay. Now, what was a common objection you did?
I don't have a credit card.
Okay, so how would you handle that?
Great, we have a pay at the hotel option.
Smooth.
Or if it's a non-refundable rate because of the cancellation policy, it's the hotel is so busy.
Right.
Sorry, you don't get the room. The next person does.
Really? Now, if they didn't show up, they agreed to that, but didn't show up, would you still get your commission?
As long as I put a credit card in and it goes through, I get my commission.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, eventually, they changed that policy and they had cancellations, which started affecting your performance.
Really?
So, like for me, I had to sell 50% of my clients, and I talked to 100 people a day.
Yeah. That's a good rate, man. Now, were there a lot of cancellations, or?
Oh, absolutely.
Really? Now, what was the one?
Fraud was the biggest part. So many
Really?
people would be booking rooms online or over the phone with fraud cards, and that's why
Really?
our fraud department actually has well over 100. I should say our. I'm no longer with them, but
Right.
the fraud department has well over 100 well-trained people constantly doing stuff.
Right. So what are you doing now? What are you doing nowadays with yourself? Where are you? If you want to
Oh my
tell us
gosh!
a little bit about your day job right now.
So real quick, back in tracking, Teletech, I did tech support for computers. I learned a lot about computers from my brother Michael. Thank you. Became a big nerd. I could build them in my sleep.
Yeah, and we're
I could
both.
set.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I mean, we're both nerds in that way because in my background, I owned a computer company. So anyway, go ahead. I know all about
If you
that.
could only see what we're, I've got 4 computers around us right now. It actually looks pretty cool. 2 desktops, 2 laptops.
We're like in the middle of the matrix here, people.
We are in the fucking.
That's right. That's right, man.
All right. So anyway,
Yeah, your day job.
Teletech, awesome people, lots of party people. Expedia, awesome people. Those people can party even better. And then now I found myself in real estate, and half the people I deal with are fake. They act like they're high and mighty, but it's like you don't even sell 30 houses a month, so why are you talking shit?
Right. Right.
And so what I do is I'm an inside sales agent,
Yeah.
and I'm also a team leader for ISAs.
Okay.
When we have ISAs that don't quit, or
you
get
don't have
fired.
any right now.
I unfortunately had to let my last one go, and
Oh,
she was
no.
my best one.
Really?
But she didn't blend well with the team.
Really.
Like, if you ever walked into an environment and like everyone's great, but there's that one person that's there that everyone kind of wishes wasn't there.
Oh, it's that person
Yeah.
that's just kind of annoying.
And I'm not talking about you, Cindy, but
That's well, and that's the other thing. I mean, right now you're dealing with. I mean, how many people are you calling in a day right
honestly.
now? Yeah, honestly, don't lie to us, Mark.
Okay, so in real estate, you call expired listings, you call for sale by owners,
Right.
you call internet leads, you call businesses, all businesses, you call business to business. You also call what we call circle prospects, which is everybody everywhere.
Right.
And just 2 days ago alone, I called 6,000 people in one day.
That's a lot of people.
Now, 300 of them was on an auto dialer.
Right.
The rest I robocalled.
Right.
Which I wouldn't
We don't
call
wanna
it a
say
robocall,
robocall, though.
because it's really not. It's a service that delivers a message to your voicemail box.
Right.
Your phone never rings.
Right.
So if you say, "Hey, why are you calling me? I'm on the do not call list," bro. Your phone never rang. I just sent a message to your inbox.
Well, and the listeners out there, I mean, they're pretty familiar. If you're doing any kind of like high volume calling at call center, you've got an abundant array of tools to get numbers and to contact people. I mean, it's all quasi legal. We're not doing anything unethical.
And let me tell you this: the reason that we do it is because the market in Springfield. If you haven't been watching the news, listen to our show. We'll keep informed. But the market, we need houses to sell. We have people walking to our office saying, "Hey, I need a house now."
Right.
In fact, I have a Facebook page called "I Need a Home with No Money Down."
Right.
Just Google Mark Bayless real estate, and it'll pop up.
Yeah.
But we're not doing it to annoy you. You're going to get the most money now for the sale of your house than you will in 2, 3, or 4 or 5 years from now.
Well, and that's the thing too. In our markets, it's a minor market. It's in San Francisco. It's not New York City. It's not. I mean, even St. Louis, Kansas City. It's not a large urban area where we're talking to you from. It's a pretty rural area in southern Missouri. And even one thing I found, and not to go off on too much of a tangent about real estate here specifically, but what I found is one, we're seeing a huge gap between people who, affordability really. I mean, housing prices are going up so much, and buyers are unable to come up with the money, or there's too much money in what they're looking for.
Or they do some stupid shit like buy a car when you're trying to buy a fucking house.
Oh yeah, don't. And here's where I'll interject with a little bit of my background here. Is Mark and I met through selling real estate. We worked together, and one thing I got into real estate a 3 or 4 years ago, and I really became disillusioned with all the kind of, like Mark said, kind of the counterfeit nature of people. Just they were fake, and then everybody's wanting to sell you a coaching program of some sort or something like that, and it's not really they never really talked about the day-to-day grind out there with real estate with people, and there's some really good agents out there. I think real estate specifically, if you're to be really successful, I think it's kind of you have a different adaptive style, and it's a pretty unique one. I
And
mean,
you need to have money in your pocket when you start.
Right.
I went in broke. I'm still broke, but I'm doing all right.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly,
I
brother.
just bought 2 cars, a house. I'm actually
Yeah.
doing really good now. But
Yeah.
like, it takes a while. Don't look into it. Do some research.
Oh yeah.
Like, and also, you're not going to learn how to sell real estate getting your license or your broker's license. I know brokers out there that don't even know how to run comps. Or, like, I talk to them about lead generation. They look at me like a deer in the headlights.
Oh yeah, they have no idea. They don't even do it. I met so
They're
many.
like, you do that?
Yeah, they're like.
Oh, my God.
I remember telling another agent that they wanted to have a meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I said, that's my lead gen time, and they were like, really? You waste your time on that? And I said, well, I've done more deals this month than you have, so it's it's paying off pretty good for me.
Yeah, listen up, Dick Lick.
Right, exactly. And so,
Or I saw you called my expired lead and you were harassing them. I never even talked to them yet.
right.
So
right.
stop trying to BS me and say that you're going to report me.
Oh yeah, the cutthroat behavior. I mean, you get that anywhere.
There's agents that
Oh,
are
yeah.
ruthless.
Oh, there are.
Oh, they're going to be like, hey, this guy's going to call you tomorrow. He's going
Right.
to tell you how good he is.
Oh yeah.
But the truth is, when I do call you, it's because they didn't sell your house.
Well, and that goes with, that's the nature of sales, and that's one thing we want to help people with, is being able to, get you through that daily grind, the daily no matter what you're selling, if it's cars, if it's door-to-door, if you're at working
Telemarketing,
if you're at Verizon
inbound,
working,
outbound
you're
calling.
working in the appliance department
Haircuts.
at Best Haircuts. And that goes to myself. I've done,
yeah.
I started out, my first introduction to sales was as a kid. My grandfather always told me to work for myself. And work for yourself. And he met people and he knew people, and that's how, when he retired from his professional career, that's how he got into his own business and started building up a landscaping business. And so there was always customer interaction. So you were always, in landscaping, it's one thing where I worked for a while for a company called True Green Chem Lawn. And,
True Green, huh?
Yeah, True Green, baby. True Green. Anyway, keep us professional. So, and that was one where it was people's lawns, and I remember this one guy was like, well, I want to be able to walk barefoot in my lawn. And I looked at him and I said, well, you can do that now. His lawn there, it wasn't, all, fine fescue or ryegrass or something. It was just a regular average lawn with weeds and stuff in it. And when I told him that, he just looked at me like, no shit, I can really go barefoot in my lawn. I'm like, yeah, you can already do that. So why don't you? Yeah, so that just it was easy to close the guy, because then I was like, look. Yeah, exactly, because I showed him the difference between what he imagined versus what the reality actually was. And that's the way a lot of people that are buying a house or selling a house, they have an idea of what the process is going to be, but the reality of it is so different.
That's where these FSBOs come in. Yeah, you may have sold a house or two before, but do you know what the market's doing now? You're not letting just anyone in your house.
Or let alone the risk of getting sued.
How do you know they've been to the bank? Who's pre-qualifying them?
Right.
Even if, real estate agents can still be helpful by getting people pre-qualified for you, because we work with the best lenders.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing, I just want to get a shout out to door-to-door security system salesmen. I had one from Vivint come by.
Really?
And I've got a Vivint in my.
Oh really?
In my
Oh, Mark.
Yeah.
Was he good?
He was
he on his
pretty
game?
good,
Yeah.
but he lied to me, so I canceled.
Really?
Yeah, but I got to keep a whole bunch of stuff from it.
A salesman that lied? Can you believe?
I did it. I did it as a test. And here's what's crazy: 20 minutes before he showed up,
Right.
I was Googling security systems.
Really?
Yeah, no, I live in a really good area. I have the best neighbors money could buy. I have amazing neighbors.
Right.
And this guy knocks on my door. I give him some bullshit rebuttals.
Right.
I tell him I'm a salesman.
Yeah.
I tell him I'm going to test him. Right.
Salesmen are great to sell.
So he comes back during the install, buddies with me. We actually end up watching a little bit of Dragon Ball Z together. He was actually really cool.
Right.
And then I go to cancel because we found a better deal, and he wouldn't lower it. We found a deal that was $1,800 cheaper than what we were getting. $1,800.
Yeah.
And he goes, look, I'm going to cancel. He goes, well, I don't know how to cancel, and I don't know the department to cancel.
Really?
And I go,
He told you
gotcha.
Yeah.
I go, I wouldn't have canceled if you just told me the truth.
Right.
I swear to God.
Yeah.
That was,
you looked him
that
up
was
and
2 weeks of
verified.
pay.
Yeah.
I had no problem with it. The security system was awesome. I could operate it from my butt if I had to.
Gotta love automation, man. Gotta love automation.
Yeah.
Well,
because he lied to me, that's why I canceled.
Well, and you get a lot of that. Just straight up liars. And this is not. this is not a knock on what you're selling, because I know a lot of reputable car salesmen, for example.
Yes.
And I know a lot of reputable, timeshare salesmen.
I got to hit on that. The best time to buy a car is the last day of the month.
Is that right?
Because they're desperate to sell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so shout out to the car salesmen out there if you're listening to this.
They hate us now, sorry.
Yeah, well, and give us
This is real talk, though. This is real inside sales agents.
Well, exactly.
Outside sales agents, too. I mean,
exactly.
we call it inside because most of us are on the phone, or we're in a showroom, or we're cutting hair, or
we're giving you
bartending.
And we're giving you inside information here.
Yeah.
Because, and to kind of close up my background a little bit, is I did a lot of door-to-door sales when I was younger. But then I worked for myself a lot, so I was always kind of networking and trying to sell people on whatever service I had, and it's like with the business I have that I'm working for today. That's one thing that I've been able to contribute to the company is the client relationship, and enhancing that client relationship with them and generating more business for them. Bottom line. So one thing we want to talk about, and this is the thing, Mark, I think is so crucial to being a successful, not only a salesperson, but really a successful anything, is confidence. Confidence is what makes, confidence can make or break you. Because if you're not a confident salesperson, you're not confident in the first place, that's going to reflect onto your potential client, it's going to prevent onto, making the calls, walking up to that person in the parking lot that's looking at that car, all of that.
If you do not believe in your product, you will not sell it.
Well, exactly, and then yourself even. You have to be able to get your mind in it. This was, I think, the hook. Here's the hook, people, is all of and we saw this with Keller Williams because they built a great coaching department.
Bold,
yeah,
Ignite,
yeah, and
yep.
all.
I got them on the shelf over here. I went through them.
Yeah, and it.
Todd Foster's awesome, by the way. Go to his Bold.
Yeah, and that's the thing I learned a lot from them, because it's confidence not only in what you're selling, but then also to carry that over into the rest of your life and other aspects of your life as well, because having the confidence to be able to not only believe in your product that you have, but believe in yourself and be able to convey that to your potential client that you're selling to and that you're meeting with. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it boils down to believing in yourself. It doesn't matter how many FUs you get. If you can get one sale out of, on the phones, let's say if you get one appointment out of 200 phone calls in one day, it's totally worth all the FUs and the I'm going to sue you and everything else. You have to have a positive mental attitude. So, in fact, I have rituals in the morning that I do personally just to get me pumped up.
Right. Well, and that's what I was about to ask you, Mark. You go through a high volume of calls every day. Mm-hmm. What do you do on your bad days? How's your mindset on your bad days?
Honest truth is, I've been through Bold. I've got a lot of positive affirmations that I go through throughout the day, and I say it's just part of it.
Right.
Right. I'm okay having one bad week if I have 10 kick-ass weeks following it.
Well, and you've got to expect that.
Sales is a roller coaster.
Right.
It's going to happen. You can be at your best and still lose.
Right.
It doesn't matter how hard you prepare.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just the cards that you're given.
Right. Well, and you've got to go into sales, whatever, knowing you're going to meet objections, and you're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to get a lot of no's.
Yes.
It's like showbiz. You're auditioning. Actors, you look at it this way: you're rejected constantly, but then eventually, man, you hit that rich vein, dude, and the money trucks just start backing up, and that's the rush of it all, dude. That's when you
go to the bank and you see how much cash that they have just given you, and you're if I go to which casino am I going to?
Right, I know, exactly, and that's where we want to help people get there, and that's why your confidence each day, when you struggle with that, that affects everything. That affects your bottom line.
And also, you have to remember, it depends on what you sell, but like for me, my goal is to sell, obviously on every call, an appointment to come and list your house or to help you buy a house or to help you invest in a property. That's what a real estate agent does.
Oh, yeah.
No BS. That's just straight talk.
Well, it is.
And that's what we promote on this show. That's why we're doing this podcast, because we're going to be straight shooters. We're not going to tell you all the BS. We're just going to cut through it. Now, again, there's a lot of great coaching out there, but you're listening to two guys here that have so much experience in so many different areas.
Yeah.
You'll see as you continue listening to the show, and we appreciate you listening to the show, and we want you to listen to the show because we have so much knowledge and passion that we want to convey to you. It's going to be worth listening to.
Well, and then not only that, Mark, but and for those listeners out there, we have our supporting listeners group. And that's one thing that for $5 a month, you can be a part of our secret Facebook group where you can ask us questions directly. I mean, Mark and I were just talking about, the basic objections that you get in sales. And you hear a lot of sales coaches, everywhere. It comes down to one thing, is essentially trust. If you're cold calling or you're selling a car or it's timeshare or it's appliances, people do not trust you until they feel comfortable with you. There's a really good newsletter out there. I think it's called Black Swan Newsletter, and it's run by this guy who used to be a hostage negotiator. And we'll include it in our show notes, where the link to his page. It's worth signing up for, because the knowledge that guy imparts, it hits on a very crucial point. And that's where, one, you've got to be comfortable with no, people telling you no, people not agreeing.
People using their vibrate or silence
people not
device
having their
while
phone
doing a
vibrate.
radio show.
My bad.
Hey, that's good radio. See, this is real,
Well, that's where that's the thing is that confidence. When you don't have that confidence in what you're doing each day and your sales each day, that leaks over into everything else that you're going to do. And what we want to help people with, and that's what you can find out in our secret Facebook group. You have a bad day, man, you can ask us questions. You have a bunch of objections you're getting.
We have rebuttals. We have the best rebuttals.
And shoot, that's the thing, is you could post something in our secret Facebook group at like 9 o'clock in the morning. And Mark and I are monitoring this thing, and you're going to have an answer lickety-split.
I'm glued to my phone, unfortunately, absolutely. And I'm always on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter.
Right.
I do a lot of social media on LinkedIn as well.
And you invite us at our Facebook page where, Mark?
At Real ISA Talk. Real ISA Talk.
And that's where we're getting real here with these people, because that's the other thing is people, especially in the sales industry, your high-end sales industry, your stockbrokers and stuff like that, man. No matter where you are in the game, what you're doing in the game, these rules apply to you. I mean, you go through this stuff. If you're cold calling people and you're making bank, it doesn't matter. If you're just a guy out there who's got his own small business and you're wanting to figure out, hey, how can I actually make more money and increase and grow my business and enhance my client's relationship, that's what you're going to find out.
Absolutely. And we're going to have guests on the show from many different backgrounds. In fact,
Yes.
I have a stockbroker named Gary. He's got a Series 7, and he used to sell stock over the phone. And he's going to just share so much knowledge with you. You're going to love him. And I've got a few people that build houses and sell cleaning services over the phone.
Right.
Hey, as the dog had an accident on the floor, has the kid wet the bed?
Right.
What if I came and cleaned your mattress right now for $25?
Right.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, so there's services out there, and these are valid reasons to develop these businesses and grab a phone book or develop a lead system that's going to give you results.
Right, exactly. Well, and I had an instance like this a couple of weeks ago where a client of ours, we were doing a project there, and I was talking to the client, and there was this one, I do a lot of stuff with like floors, and this one client was frustrated with the way their floor
You do a lot of stuff with floors or a
Yeah,
lot of
I
things
do.
on floors?
I do a lot of things on the floor, people. All right, anyway.
Back to reality.
Yeah, back to, my life. Yeah. Anyway.
Sorry there, Jason, I had to.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. Well, what I did is they were frustrated where the grout was really dirty, and so what I did on this one section of grout, I did just like it reminded me immediately of my door-to-door days. Is I cleaned with the client they're watching, cleaned one big strip of that grout so that it just stood out like a sore thumb, and I mean that they were like, okay, well, come and do the rest of it. How much do you charge? And so I quoted them the price. They did not disagree, did not object, and then it also generated more income for our company over a couple of 3 more jobs. And that's what we talk about when we talk about confidence. Is if your confidence is shattered, you never know when that next step, when that next yes is going to come from. Because you might be having a bad day, and then all of a sudden you run into that $1 million client, that client that just puts you over the moon. So don't give up as you're slugging through the day, doing what you can in your job that you do. keep slugging away because it's going to pay off
It
big
will.
time. Every salesman, especially great salesman, all came from nothing, dude. I mean, how many stories you know of people that were driving in cars, or you like yourself, supporting your family, or me just wanting to get out and see the country? It was the thing to do.
Yeah, and if people say they're not interested, call their butts back in 90 days. Things change. People have lives, okay? Here is the truth, some real talk, okay? People get divorced. People die.
Right.
People's credit changes.
Oh, yeah.
People's job situations change. People's schoolings change.
Yes.
Their car changes,
Right.
okay? Call them. Because just because they're not interested right now, they might be in 90 days or 6 months or a year. Say and make it and let them expect your call. Hey, I know you're not interested. I just want to let you know I'm gonna try you back here in about 6 months or 90 days and see if there's any other products or services that I have that might actually interest you at this time.
Right.
You know.
Right.
If that's cool with you.
Yeah. And
You know,
build
that way when I call you back, I can say, hey, it was cool with you. We've got rapport.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So here's what I'm selling.
Right.
Here's what's in it for you.
Right.
And by the way, how's your grandma?
Right.
How's your daughter?
Right.
Did you ever get your brakes fixed?
Well, and that's what we'd like to hear from people on our secret Facebook or even our Facebook page or what are like some rapport building things that you do with people.
And the most popular ones, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it down and cheat it for you, save you hundreds of dollars, is Ford. Family, occupation, recreation, dreams,
Yes.
which Jason knows very well.
Well, and that's the thing is where I learned that from. I mean, I would be interested to know how organically it came about because I've heard it phrased in many different ways. I mean, because you take the first thing as family. As you get to know somebody, let's say somebody walks in on the car lot, okay? All right, if it's a man and woman couple, all right, obviously who's making the decision here. You ask them, you guys have kids? Are you married? What's the situation going on between them? Mm-hmm. A single guy walks onto the parking lot. What's his situation? You take people, you get to know them a little bit personally first, and then that's why it's an easy question to say, okay, well, all right, obviously, Mark, you're married with kids. What do you do for a living? What do you do for a living?
Okay, well, I'm a telemarketer.
Okay. Well, cool. Hey, I'm a car salesman. Good to know you. What do you like to do for fun, Mark?
Well,
do you ever get to have fun? I mean, I know you're
four-wheeling, fireworks, camping, boating, drinking.
awesome with the drinking.
Dynamite, no, I'm kidding.
For those who imbibe out there, I know not all of our listeners are drinkers, but hey, for those who enjoy cocktails.
Well, I mean, we all have our way of coping with bad days.
That we do. So Mark, tell me, what's something you really want to do in life? If you could do anything you wanted to right now, what would it be?
I'm doing exactly what I'd want to do. No BS. I mean, no BS. I'm taking time out of my personal life to want to connect with other people out there in sales that need motivation, that need coaching, that just want someone to listen to that they can relate to.
Exactly.
And, we want you to call in. We want you to message us. We want to feature you on the show. And,
Right.
I'm not just some guy that says, hey, I want to be a coach and pay me a shitload of money and I'll tell you what I learned from another coach.
Right.
Who had no idea what the hell he was talking about.
Well, and to close it out, so your biggest...
I do what I coach every day.
Right.
And so the systems that I promote and the way that I talk, I do what I know works. Because if it didn't work, I was just talking with my listing agents the other day. If what I was doing right now didn't work, I wouldn't have a job.
Right.
And I make damn good money.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah, well, and that's the reason we're doing this podcast is you and I and our combined knowledge, passing it along to people and sharing our experience. I mean, that's essentially to be cynical and, about it. Yeah, we're cutting through it because there's a lot of BS out there, man. I mean,
you don't need to listen to 7 shows to find out the one thing you want to hear.
No.
But I guarantee that the amount of shows that you do listen to, you're going to learn something new every single time.
Right, because, I mean, you can listen to...
And maybe teach us something new, too.
Well, yeah.
And let us know on Real ISA Talk on Facebook. Real ISA Talk on Facebook.
Well, and that's the thing is there's a lot of good salespeople out there. I mean, there's, Zig Ziglar, you've got Tony Robbins, and also look at
the Wolf of Wall Street.
Jordan Belfort, of course, he's big time, and then all those internet
Margot Robbie though in that movie. Oh man.
Well, and then all the internet salespeople. I mean, there's a lot of
You do that too?
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of cool Facebook feeds. Like Hardcore Closer, dude. You're awesome, man.
Ryan Stewman.
Yeah.
Man, he's got a good backstory. He does a good job. I have nothing bad to say about him.
We'll have to get him on the show.
I would love to get him on the show. I'm sure there's some things that we could talk about that would just make people's heads explode.
Oh, sure.
Like, you know.
Oh, sure.
You know when you want to learn something so bad, you're just waiting for that one sales tip that's just going to transform your lives.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's just it, man, is the one thing that we want to promote on here. Yeah, there's a lot of other good salesmen, and there are good sales coaches out there. There are, because you and I have learned a lot from them.
I didn't learn from myself. I mean, okay, I take it back. I learned a lot from myself, but I also learned from many other successful people that, you know, I was a copycat. Like when I started doing outbound sales, I had to learn how to rebuttal. I had to copycat these other great salesmen. Same with inbound. I had to find what worked, and then I'd try new things that worked too. So a lot of trial and error, and a lot of just rubbing elbows with the right people that will be happy to teach you what they know so you can succeed.
Yeah, and it goes to say, who are you around? I mean, the type of personality. I mean, that's the one thing. It's the type of personality of the person you're working with. Because you can get a lot of rude people.
Go with the cigarette smokers on break.
Yeah.
Really. I mean,
yeah,
when people are out on break smoking a cigarette, they just want to smoke a cigarette and they'll bitch about whatever they want to bitch about. They'll talk about whatever they want to bitch, you know.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
They want to talk whatever they want to talk about. And that's the real secret right there. So,
well, and that's where
those are my people. Smokers, I mean.
Well, exactly. And you deal with the people that, you learn how to deal with people that are like either they're know-it-alls.
Yeah, there's that lady in the lunchroom that's heating up her ham sandwich and goes, I'm just, and you're like,
yeah, exactly. You got your know-it-alls. You've got your couples who fight. You've got your, like the opposite sex. They're very wary.
You got the office hookup guy who hooks up everybody on payday.
Yeah. No doubt. Well, so you've got to understand the personality of the person you're selling. Okay? I mean, if you're a guy selling appliances, you got an appliance store. Okay, people walking in. Mark, can you guess what their number one
price?
Thank you. Their price. So, and let's say you're an independent guy.
Sell the sizzle, not the steak.
Right. How do you get people to not go to Best Buy? You know, I mean, I know that's becoming far fewer between thing. It's not like our area.
Well, the best thing that works now is call them racist. That's 2018 successful. Oh, they're racist.
Well,
don't go. Then they're not. We're not saying that. That's a joke.
Let's get it out of the way now, and we'll do a whole episode on this later. But
you know I'm right.
You know who the best right now?
Papa John's.
Right. Well, I was about to say right now, the greatest sales that happened was the election of 2016. Donald Trump. If you read Art of the Deal, I mean, I'm a little older than Mark, so I remember when Art of the Deal came out, and Donald Trump was in the 80s. I remember what he was like then.
Real estate mogul.
I knew he was a street, and I don't use the word hustler in a negative way. I respect people who can, as long as you're honest. Now, I don't necessarily think Trump is the most ethical person. I'm not going to call him dishonest necessarily. But the guy knows sales. He knows sales extremely well.
He knows how to do business. I don't care what he does in the bedroom, but what he does in the business is great. Well, and I got to tell you another thing too. Like, just because of all the BS that happened in politics, as soon as it was announced for Donald Trump when he said, I'm running for president, I knew I was voting for him.
Right.
And it wasn't because, I followed Donald Trump, which I didn't.
Right.
I never watched The Apprentice or any of his shows, ever. Right. I haven't had cable in 10 years because I Netflixed everything.
Yeah, I tuned it all out.
Yeah, and so just hearing the name, I looked at my fiance, I go, I'm voting for Trump.
Right.
Just because there was so much BS going on.
He's great at marketing. I mean, that's the thing. He's great at
before
sales.
and after and during.
And that's the thing we're going to talk about a lot, and you'll learn, and you listeners will learn about here on our podcast, is we're going to touch on every aspect of society when it comes to
By the
sales.
way, I support both sides on many issues. That's just the truth.
Well, here's the greatest. Here, let's get like real conspiracy theorist here, man. Let's get,
X-Files themes.
Yeah,
we got to get an X-Files keyboard or a music keyboard where we can play a theme.
Yeah, we'll have to. Well, eventually we'll start getting some sound effects in here for you people. So, but the greatest sales that has gone on has been the propaganda, the TV essentially, has been able to sell so many ridiculous ideas. Secondly, all the infomercials that are late night infomercials. If you people watch those,
Instagram hoes.
Yeah, you've got
Snapchat,
and we'll have a whole another episode on sex and the way, because dude, how many trade shows people out there go to and it's all booth babes. I mean, you gotta have. They sell.
That's why there's Coors Lights girls.
Right.
People don't have the Coors Lights guys.
Right. And so you've got your aspect of who you're selling to. Are you selling to guys? What's your market? What's your niche? What's your demographic? And as we explore these topics on the show, you're going to hear a lot of different opinions, and you're going to hear a wide variety of opinions, not only between myself and Mark, but from the listeners, from the guests that we get on this show. Because right now in our day and age, it's such
everything is sold. Religion, products, everything.
We'll even go back to the invention of advertising, if you will. Let's talk about the evolution of advertising.
Put a sign in the yard.
Props to the guys who went from town to town selling whatever concoction, the snake,
alcohol.
Snake oil.
People would go on wagons and sell alcohol.
Sell alcohol door to door.
That was the most important. Wine, especially in Europe. That was the very first thing. And they didn't need that fancy of a sign. The product sold itself.
Right.
There wasn't big breweries everywhere. There was a guy selling beer.
Well, and that's
alcohol,
how products
gin.
got started. I mean,
Yeah.
you went door to door offering your wares.
The milkman.
Well,
the paper boy.
The paper boy. Ooh, the pool boy.
The pool boy.
The pool boy. Oh, that's really work, not really sales. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to cover all of this because it bleeds into every aspect of our life. And it's not so much that you're selling something to get a commission. You're either selling yourself, you're selling something to your wife, because maybe you want to go see a movie that your wife really didn't want to go see. You know, or maybe, here's what I loved about having kids when they were, especially, my favorite age for kids is from about 5, 6 to like 10 or 11. Because you know why? They believe everything you tell them. And you can make up
I met my 7.5-year-old.
there's always the exception to the rule, but for the most, and they don't believe everything, but you understand what I'm saying. They'll believe almost everything that you tell them. Yeah. And I would have so much fun with it with my kids of making stuff up that, you know, they would ask about.
Santa Claus is pissed.
Yeah, exactly. Santa Claus, man, he doesn't fool around. You got to be good, you know.
That tooth fairy, he's wicked.
Right. You know, if you're not good for Santa Claus, you know, mommy and daddy are going to have their car taken away from them. And, you know, that just terrifies them. But hey, they clean their room.
You don't hate children, do you?
It's the only way I get them to clean their room. You know. So, but
that or the fear of their lives.
That's exactly the fear.
But I hate being that guy. You know, I hate being that father that's like, you know, I want to be that father that gets along with my kids, but it's like,
right.
You better clean your room or I'm going Super Saiyan and things are about to get nasty.
Well, and that's where it's turned into now. My kids are getting older, and so they're learning. That's the skill I'm teaching them is certainly sales, because it's like, and I remember this when I learned this when I was doing door to door. When I was doing door to door sales, I traveled with a crew of people. Okay. And this one guy, he was a really cool guy. He would always turn on like this fake Australian accent that was just amazing. He did so good.
Well, I got a knife.
Yeah, exactly. He was just amazing. Anyway, there was one night he wanted us to all go do this activity at this place that nobody really wanted to do, and because we all shared a vehicle and he didn't want to be by himself, he gave us like a 30-minute sales pitch to go to a bowling alley. I mean, it was amazing how hard he was working just to get everybody.
Grab your balls and go to the.
Because he was a party salesman. I mean, he was a guy that.
We got shots. We got like
everything.
Long Island.
Oh yeah, I mean, he could drink all day, all night. And he always did well. I mean,
and those were the people that entertained you.
Yeah.
But then you realize like that mentality, and that's a good mentality for certain things,
right?
But once you have that mentality in other environments, you kind of make yourself look like a jackass.
Yes, you do.
So, and in future episodes, I'll tell you about how I had to fail 100 times to get successful.
Exactly.
You have to be okay with increasing your failure rate, and you have to know your scripts.
Exactly. And that's why you have to accept no, and know that if you're getting into this business, you're going to run into no's. So what we're going to wrap it up here. You're going to see these podcasts at least every week, if not more.
Absolutely. And don't forget to like and subscribe and check us out and post on Real ISA. That's Indigo Sierra Action. Real ISA Talk.
We're going to go with the radio chatter there, man. That's just awesome, dude. Awesome. See, that's the thing is subscribe to our Facebook page. We're going to start posting updates there pretty frequently.
Post topics you want us to talk about.
If there's something you want us to talk about, share with you. We will.
Just no nudity.
Yeah, no nudity.
We love memes.
Yes. Yeah. Keep it professional, folks. We're salesmen, damn it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 1 of Real ISA Talk. This is Mark, and this is my partner, Jason.
Hey.
And we really hope to hear you on our Facebook.
Yep. And to close that out with our secret Facebook group for our supporting listeners for $5 a month, you can be a part of our secret Facebook group. Ask us questions. 99% of the time, you're going to get a very quick answer because
Yeah.
both of us are on social
We
media.
have phones on us. He's the
Yeah.
night shift guy. I'm
Yeah.
the day shift guy.
Yeah. Mark's
Very
day
quick
shift.
responses. And look for more information on that group on our Real ISA page. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, folks. We appreciate it.
Have a good Saturday night. This is July 21st. Heading out.
All right. See you, people.